And this one is crafting a compelling title and abstract. And it's important. The business of scientific writing is very competitive. I'll give an example. I guess everyone here, no, let me not make any assumptions, but if you are a postgraduate student, either residency, or when you're doing your fellowship training, or a master's degree or a PhD student, and your PhD is by publication. That means the requirement is for you to publish articles from your research, from your doctoral research, before you can graduate. If you find yourself in that situation, know it that as a postgraduate student, it's a competition. You're going to be targeting journals where professors, eminent professors, highly revered professors are also publishing in, those who have the experience. And so it's competitive, and therefore you need to prepare yourself for this competitive task. And therefore, usually, for most reviewers, for most editors, the title and the abstract should be very informative and convincing, compelling to a reader. Otherwise, they just throw it out. And so the title and abstract speak a lot about the research that has been conducted and written up in the form of a manuscript. All right. So we start with the title. Start with what is referred to as a working title. Now, there's a difference between a working title and a definitive title. A working title is a title that is in progress. It's fluid. It's not final. It might change. And so don't be afraid to start with a rough idea and refine it as you write your paper. So you will see that if you keep track of what you're writing, from your concept note, your proposal, the manuscript, zero draft, the final draft, you would have observed that your title may have changed perhaps 3 times, 4 times. It's normal. It's not unusual, it's normal. In fact, sometimes even at the time you submit your manuscript and you get feedback from reviewers, you would even get suggestions on how on changing the title of your manuscript. It is still a working title until it is published. Then it becomes the final title. So that's one of the ways to approach drafting a title. Do not begin by saying, this is my title, it must remain like this until this manuscript is published. It may not end up that way. In a few instances, that can happen. But in other instances, it might change. The next thing is for you to look at the key variables and themes. In the title needs to reflect certain key variables and themes. For instance, a title that doesn't mention the population, the study population, not necessarily so, but it should allude to it. Or the method, the study design, or the setting. That title is bogus, is vague. It needs to be specific. And so a title should reflect. If your study was done among children under 5, children under 5 should be mentioned. If it is infants, you mention it. If it is adults, you mention it. If it is pregnant women, you mention it. If it's lactating mothers, you mention it. Rational study, it's important that you mention them. If the setting is in JOS or in a tertiary health institution, it would be nice to mention it. Study done on angina, patients with angina pectoris in JOS University Teaching Hospital. or you might say in a tertiary health institution. But mentioning it specifically is preferred. If you mention in a tertiary health institution, then somewhere in the abstract, you're going to specify the name of that tertiary health institution. So that means that certain things must reflect in the title. What we refer to as the epidemiological pentads. The what, the where, the when, the why, perhaps. Maybe not all of them. But if there are 5 Ws and you're able to mention 3 to 4, we are good to go. Keywords are relevant in the title. Use relevant keywords that will help others find your research when searching online. So if you recall, in my earlier presentation, I did mention that after abstract, you have keywords. If the target journal says you should have up to 8 keywords, and you've listed those 8 keywords, be sure that, maybe not all of them, be sure that at least half of them, half of those keywords are also in your title. Because it is those keywords that the search engines retrieve when you type certain things. For instance, in PubMed Central, the search engine uses those keywords to find articles that have been published in that area that you're searching. The next is that the title should be clear and specific. Avoid vague, overly broad topics. The title should indicate the subject of your research. If you recall, when I was talking about key variables and themes, when your title lacks those epidemiological pentads, it becomes vague. It becomes broad. Your title should not be broad. The next is conciseness. Your title should be concise. Keep it short and straight to the point. And usually most target journals will tell you the word count for the title, whether it is long or short. Usually you hear 10, 15 words, 20 words. Maintain that limit. It should be succinct enough, very informative. And perhaps your title should be engaging. It should be interesting. And it should make any reader want to learn more about your research. So maybe in another session, there's something you should know about titles, how to phrase titles. Are you there? Can you still hear me? I want to be sure.
Yes, Prof, we can hear you.
All right. I'm just checking in case I'm speaking alone to myself. So your title should be engaging. It should resonate with people who have an interest in that similar area of study. The next thing is that a title should reflect your research objectives. If your objectives, for instance, are about angina pectoris, and your title is talking about cancers, there's a disconnect there. If your objectives are talking about angina pectoris, cardiovascular, blah, 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 but your title is talking about cancers, cervical cancer, it makes no sense. It doesn't reflect the objective. Avoid jargon and abbreviations. Usually in titles, stay away from abbreviations. Use language that is clear, understandable to a broad audience. However, there are certain specialties that you cannot avoid jargons. If you're doing genetic and genomic studies, those jargons will appear. But try to play down on them. For those that you can use common English words that reflect whatever would have been a jargon, please use those words that are understandable to a broader audience. But there are some words they may not have synonyms. And this is particularly so for certain kinds of disciplines. Those words will show up. The next thing is that you need to consider your audience. Think about who will be reading your research and then tailor your title accordingly. Some journals are discipline-based, others are not. For instance, AIDS Journal, where you publish articles on research done on AIDS. All right. So usually people who go retrieving articles from AIDS Journal have an interest in that discipline, AIDS. For instance, another journal for like PLOS ONE is much broader. I mean, it covers a variety of disciplines. And so if you are targeting AIDS Journal, indirectly your readers will be people, researchers who have an interest in AIDS, but PLOS ONE is broader than AIDS Journal. And so these considerations need to be taken into cognizance. The next is to review examples. Look at titles of similar research papers to get ideas and inspiration. Like I said this earlier, read articles that have been published in the target journal that resonate with you, your discipline. If you review them, you equip yourself with knowledge on how to approach yours. Revise and refine. Don't be afraid. Continue to tweak your title. Tweak it until it gets to the point that you can say to yourself, reasonably, I can say my working title is 80% written. Never say 100%. So here is a unique critique of a sample title. Maybe I should leave this to Dr. Nwankwo, but we may want to end this session by critiquing this. So look at the study title that says, A Study on Social Media. This is broad. This is vague. Social media. Social media on what? Who are your participants? From where did you recruit them? From where did you administer your tools to get information from them via questionnaire administration, either self-administered or interview administered? You can see that this title is vague. But look at this next one. The impact of social media on adolescent self-esteem. A longitudinal study of high school students in Port Harcourt. You can see that this title is specific because it includes key variables. And what are these key variables? Social media, adolescents, self-esteem, high school students, and it provides a sense of the research's scope and methodology. So you can see the difference between these two titles. The second one is more specific. The first one is very vague and so broad. And then we'll proceed to abstract. And this is perhaps the last one or two slides. If my 15 minutes is not over yet. Abstracts you have structure, just like body of manuscripts. Some abstracts are structured, others are unstructured. Look at your target guideline, your target journal guidelines for authors. If it is stated that it's structured, then they're going to give you a clue. They're going to list the structure, how it should be organized. Usually you're going to see background or introduction. You're going to see aims, objectives. Sometimes aims, objectives are merged in the background, and usually it's the last sentence in the background or introduction. But some target journals will tell you to separate aim and objectives from the background. Then you go to methods. Sometimes it's called methodology. Sometimes it's called materials and methods, results and conclusion, and all of that. It's important you consider word count as well for the abstract. It could be 250 words, 300 words, 350 words. Make sure that you do not go above and beyond the word count limit. And the keywords too are important, that you have them listed at the bottom of the abstract. There's this last part which is important, that when you search for a target journal, if you want to find a place to publish your article, one one of the most familiar approach is for you to, after you have written your manuscript, if you look at the references or the reference list, find the reference that has a journal that is cited the most than other journals. That is likely going to be where your manuscript suits or could be published in. I repeat, if you have 30 references and you look at each of them and you can see that of these 30 references, 5 were published in PLOS ONE, for instance, or Epison Journal, or Nigeria Journal of Clinical Practice. That speaks volume. It is likely that your manuscript is best suited for that journal that is cited 5 times, more than others that were cited once or twice. And that is a key consideration. The next is for you to use a search engine. It's called JANE, Journal Author Name Estimator, and I have here the link. If you copy this link and paste it on your web browser, it pops up a page that looks like what you see on the right side of the screen. If you copy your title and paste it here and click Find Journals, look at those tabs at the bottom. You have Find Journals, Find Authors, Find Articles. If you copy your title and paste it in the box that you see here, and you click on Find Journals, it's going to select journals that you're likely going to be publishing your manuscript in. But it doesn't end there. If it retrieves 20 journals, take your time, search each one to see the scope, the article processing charge, and many other considerations, references and all that. If you are going to pay out of pocket for your manuscript, and you like a journal here that pops up doing a JANE search, and the publication fee is $3,500, for goodness sake, well, except you are very wealthy, then you can consider publishing your articles there. So there are many considerations, and I'll encourage you to use this JANE, Journal Author Name Estimator, to search for articles where you can publish your manuscript, where you are likely going to publish your manuscript in. That is to say, your research, your topic, your broad topic will likely suit the scope or fit the scope of the journals that you retrieve here. Next time, if we have the time, we'll demonstrate this. But when you go home, try it out and see what it gives to you. Thank you so much for listening to these presentations.